Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be building another project in C++ called a car rental system in C++. This is the program. Let me show you. First, you enter your name, then you choose a car from the list. You have three cars here, which is a Toyota, Hyundai, and a Ford 2020. These are the models. So let's go for option one. Then choose a Toyota. You have chosen a Toyota model 2021. Then you get your specifications. Then you are asked to provide a car number. Let's just enter any car number, and then the number of days you wish to rent the car. Let's say you want to rent for about 3 days. Then you get this invoice with the current date here. With the current date, you get this invoice here with the invoice number, customer name, which I tapped earlier. I was asked to type the name. Then you get the car model, car number of days. You get the rental amount. You get the caution amount in advanced. Then the total amount, total rental amount. This computer is this is a computer generated invoice. Therefore, it does not require an authorized signature. This is just a note, and then you are required. In fact, you are advised to pay the amount before due date. Otherwise, penalty fee will be applied. Now, if you press any key to continue, then you get this thing you hear. Now, let's get started here. So now we have a source code here. So I'll explain each and every line in this source code here. Now let's start from the top. From the top here, we have this include library. We include our input library, input output library. We include our file stream library. We include our UniSTD library. Since we want to use the sleep function there, we include the IO manip since we want to manipulate the output, which is we use the set width. Now we have the set time to use the time functions here. Now using our namespace standard here we have our first class here, which is a customer. Now the customer has only 3 data members which are protected. Since we want to inherit those data members, we made them protected. So since we want to inherit them, we cannot make them private. Also, we cannot make them public. It is not safe to make them public, so anyone can have access to them. So we do not want that. We only want the inherited class to have access to those data members here. So we made them protected here. So we have the customer name, the car model, and the car number. Sorry. Now we have another function here, which is rent, which inherits which is inherited from this customer class. As I said, that we will have another class which will inherit these data members here. Now this rent class has its own additional data members here, which is these data members and some functions here. Now we have the number of days, we have the rent fee, and we have this array of characters which we want to store the data, and it has the maximum number of characters to extract. Now we have some public functions here, which is the constructor, default constructor. We have the function welcome, which is a void tab. We have the file reader, which takes an array of characters. We have the data, we have the invoice amount, and the invoice record. The invoice record is for printing the invoice. The invoice record is for printing. This one prints the invoice. This one prints the invoice. This one prints the invoice, and this one here computes the invoice. Actually computes the invoice amount. This one computes. This one it only computes. Yeah, computes the invoice amount. Now we have now let's go and implement those functions defined here. Now you know, to implement a function outside the class, you need the class, the return type, the class name, the scope resolution operator, and the the function. Now, since since this one is a construct, it does not have a return type. Therefore, we only have the class name and the scope resolution operator and the constructor. Now, the constructor is only used to initialize those data members here. This number of days and rent fee. Now we have another function here, which is a welcome, which is of type void. Now here, the welcome function, what it will do, it only prints it only prints something that is on this file here. You will see what's that on that file. It only prints this whatever is on this file here, which is a welcome file. So here we have an input stream here. Since we want to print something, get something from that file, so we use an if stream, which is an input stream. Now we have our object name here, which is the input file. Then we open our file. Then after we open our file, it is very important that you check you check the if the file exists here. Now if the file does not exist, then this error message will be printed. Now we have another array of characters here, then which is 1000 there, the maximum number, which is 1000. Then we have the while loop. Now while reading this file, we extract, while reading the file, we extract the characters on that file here, which is this file here. Then this is where we want to extract them, and this is the maximum number of characters to extract from that file. Then if we have anything on that file, then you print it. I hope that one makes sense. If you get anything from that file, then we print whatever is on that file here. Then it is very important that you close your file, and then we sleep for 1 second here. Now, as I said earlier, that we will be using a sleep, some sleep here, which is the sleep function. Where is it now? The sleep function here, which is defined in this library here, which is defined in this library. Now, let's go ahead, and then after sleeping, then we print this starting the program. Please wait. Then while waiting, the system sleep for 1 second, and then load up the file. Then we sleep again for 1 second, then it clears the screen. Now we move again to another function called the file reader. Now the file reader is for reading file, any kind of file. I've made this one file reader here for, since we're reading, so since we read always reading files here, so I decided to make a function for reading file. As you can see, it accepts the array of characters as a parameter. Then actually this is a file name, so we give it a file name, and then it reads the file, that file. So we have an input stream here. Then we open the file, that is whatever file that is given to this function, it will open that file and then check if that file exists. Then if the file does not exist, then this error message is printed. Now then if the file exists, of course, then it reads the file and extract whatever is in that file and print it to the screen. Now we have another function here, data. Now this data function here, it's first of all, it prints it asks the user to enter the name. So we're taking the name from the user, and then we input that name here, and then print a line when end the line. And then we do have a while loop here. It's a do while loop. So we do this while the car model is less than 1 and the car model is greater than 3. What does this mean? It means that in fact this one it's a wrong, so it should be like, while the car model is greater or equals to 1. While the car model is great or equals to 1, or the car model is less or equals to 3. Now, why am I doing this? It's because I want this. It's because why I'm doing these things. You know that we have 3 options here. We have these 3 options here. So while the car model, these are car models. So whenever you choose this one, it is stored in this car model here. So I want to do this as long as the car model is between this range. As long as you choose whatever is between in this thing. If you choose anything outside this range here, then you get something else. Then it goes out of the loop. it goes out of the loop here. In fact, let's just write here, because let's just write this true here. Why? Because if ever you write something that is on this list, it's not on this list there, you have this invalid here, invalid car model. You have this invalid car model. Then please try again. Now, then we have our options there. The user is given a list of options to choose from. This is a list of options to choose from. That is the Toyota, this Hyundai 2019, this Ford 2020. Then the user is asked to choose now. And then the computer, after the user chooses an option, it is stored in this car model here. Then we end the line. Now we'll use a switch function here. Now the switch here, the switch statement here, we switch the car now and check which option the user choose. Now if the user chooses one, then we clear the screen, so that whenever that was printed on the screen, we clean it, then we print that we have chosen this model here, which is the Toyota model. Then we read the file. Now remember, I said earlier that we have the file reader. The file reader accepts takes a file name, then reads it. Let me show you there. Let me just use a control, then click, and then we have a file reader. A file reader takes a file name, then opens that file, and then reads it and print whatever that file and print it on the screen. Now here, that's what we did here. We called the file reader and then provide the file name. So it will read whatever is in that file here, then sleep for 2 seconds, then break. Then if the user chooses option 2, which is this option here, now we clear the screen again. Then we print to the screen that you have chosen this model. And now we call the function, the file reader here, and provide a file to read from. Then we sleep for 2 seconds, then we call break, then we break out of the switch. Then if the user chooses option 3, then we clear the screen again, and then we print that we have chosen this Ford model 2020, and then we call the file reader and provide this file to read from, that is to provide us with the specification of this Ford model here. Then we sleep for 2 seconds again, then we break. Then if the user chooses neither of these options here, then this message will be printed, and then the user will be required to choose again, asked to choose again, since this is a do while loop, since it's a while loop. So we have again, I said this is a do while loop. Yeah, this is a do while loop. You have this loop here, which is a do while loop. Now I've kept this thing as like this one, so that this is just to say that as long as this mode is less than 1 and the car mode is greater than 3, and then you keep on doing this thing as long as it's between this range here. So then we come again, we print this line here, and then see out provide the following information. We ask the user to provide some information there after choosing the car model. Then we ask the user to provide us with the following information. That is we ask the user to provide us with the car number, then we get the car number, and then provide us with the number of days you wish to rent the car, and then we get the number of days, then we end the line. So we want to start from a new line there, and then we have another function there, which is invoice amount. And then when we call this function there, the system lists for 1 second, then clear the screen, and then we print this message here that is calculating the rent. Please wait. Then we sleep for 2 seconds. Then now we compute, as I said, that the invoice amount is used for computing the amount, total amount, the invoice amount. And then we say check now if the model is, we check the model that the user chose. Now if the model is the first one, then we compute the rent fee as the number of days times this rental amount. This amount here is the amount per day for this model, and this one here is the amount per day for this one, and this 175 here is the amount per day for this model here. Now that's how we compute the rent fee. Now we move on to our another function here, which is the invoice record. Now invoice record here, we have the time t. Now I said earlier that since we included a library which is set time, we wanted to use it to wanted to have access to these methods here, these time functions here. That is, now here we declare our time object here, and then we get the time now for that is the system time here. We're getting the system time here, it's a local time on our system, and then we convert that to a string now so that we can print it. Then we use another function here, which is called the set with. As I said earlier, that when we included this library here, which library, this set with here, which is IO manip. Since when we want to manipulate the input here, input output, we want to manipulate it. We are, in fact, here in this case, we're manipulating the output, so we'll see how the output here is manipulated. So then we print the date. So we'll set the width here to 80, then we print the date, then we end our line, and then we print this car rental. We print this invoice. In fact, this invoice, we're gonna print it on the screen. Then which the invoice has here is the invoice amount, the invoice number. Then we set the width to 10, and then we print this invoice number. Then we have the customer name, which we have it here. We have the car model, the car number of days, rental amount, caution money, and advanced. Then we have the total amount here, which is the computed by the invoice amount. Now we have this caution money and advance as zeros here. Now we have another notice here, which is this is a computer generated invoice. It does not require an authorized signature. We have this advice here, that is advised to pay the amount before due date, otherwise penalty fee will be applied. And then we pause the screen after the user enters a new key to continue. Then we clear the screen, then we enter these characters here. This let me show, or I'll show you when we're closing the program. It's more like an image characters here. And then we have our main function now. So in our main function, we only have one object here, which is a rent object, and then we call our welcome function. Then after the welcome function, we call the data function to provide us with the list. This one is more like a menu. And then we call our invoice amount to compute us the rent fee, to get us the rent fee. Then we have our invoice record now to print this invoice here, this record here. Then we return our 0. That is the end of our program. Now let's compile our program and see. Now we compile and run. Now we have our running program here. Let's just so it's still, yeah, there's a welcome image there. Then we are asked to enter our name. Then we choose now we entered our name here. Let me go to my main. Yeah, I want to show you something there. That is, now on this thing we are here now on this data function here. This is the data function. Now if you choose the first option there, then you can see the computer waits for some seconds. That is called a sleep. That's why we have a sleeping, since we have a sleep function there. Then you can see the computer waits for some seconds, then displays this information here. Now after this information here, we are asked to enter the kind of select a car number. I'm just gonna enter this number, then the number of days, let's just say 5 days, and then you can see it waits for some seconds here, and then print us. There's the date there, and this date is manipulated. This set with here, I want to show you the use of it. Now you see the date here, it's not printed here at the beginning of the line, but it is rather printed here almost at the end of the line. That is the width. That's how this width manipulates this output. So if you set the width maybe to 10, this date would printed maybe somewhere here. So this is the width 80, then we print our date. Then we print our invoice there. Then now we have our invoice number, which is that the number. We have the our customer name, which you were asked to enter earlier. Then we have our car model and the car number. The car number here, the number of days, which is 5. Then the rental amount is computed as 5 times that amount. This was car model 1, so the rent was computed as 150 times 5 days. Then that's why we have our 750 there. Then the caution money, I said it's 0, and that one is also 0. Then the total amount there is 7, since we only have this amount here to pay. So the total amount here is 750. Now we have our notice here and the advice here. And then we have our system pause here. Press any key to continue. That's our system pause. That is, now we are here on this line. So this is the system pause. Now we pause on the screen. If we press any key to continue, it should clear the screen and then call this function to print the whatever is in this thanks.txt. Now let's press any key to continue. Then we have our thank you. So that's it for about this program. So now I want you to do something for me as always. Now, I hope everything is clear in this project here. Now, what you can do now, let's see what I want you to do. Now, what I want you to do is very simple. Yeah, it's very simple. I want you to go and use your knowledge on files and have a login here. I want the program so that the user, when the user first runs the program, it should ask the user for a login details, before printing whatever. Before coming to this page here, it should ask the user for login details. And then if the user provides them nicely, then it should then continue to the welcoming page. And then after that, and of course, and save these user details, that is the username and password, into a text file. Then, although it is not recommended that you save a user password and login details into a text files, but in this case, I just want you to use your knowledge and see what you know about files, then use it. Have a login page. And another thing here, I want you to edit. I want you to add this. I want you to auto generate this part here. You can just have an hash, then have an auto increment this part here, so that whenever the user runs a program, if you open it, it adds 1. Then if you run it again, then it adds 2, and so on. Now, in this car model here, I want you to change this car model here so that it does not print. It does not print, so that it prints the model name, the model. Like if you choose option 1 here, then it should not print 1, but rather print Toyota 2021. Let me show you here. If you choose option 1, maybe if you choose option 1 here, it should not print this one car model. It should print Toyota 2021, not this number here. Then yeah, I think that's it. Otherwise, you can also add this part here, where a customer returns the car. Now it should be another invoice here, so that the invoice should be calculated again, so that as to check that did you bring the car back within this number of days that you requested. If you have one more day, then it should recalculate the total amount. And then if there anything maybe happened to the car, should have some values here. Then yeah, I want you to do that to test your knowledge now. Yeah, otherwise I think that's it for this tutorial here. So yeah, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.